Welcome to the Babies in Business Podcast. Join your hosts, Rachel and Avram Gonzales, real-life parents and business partners. Each week on Babies in Business, Rachel and Avram create a space for entrepreneurial parents to find their own way. They'll dive into insights on topics like leadership, efficiency, self-awareness, budgeting, and human psychology as they nurture their family and build their business. Here's your hosts, Avram and Rachel.
Today we're going to let you in on a little secret. Now, depending on how we title this, we might have already given it away with the podcast.
It's true.
But we've been through some stuff, building a business while raising a family, that has allowed us to recognize what we now feel like is the number one most important thing in our household that affects everything.
Yeah.
In a very specific way. And that's sleep.
Yep.
That's sleep. In previous podcasts, Rachel's shared the struggle with sleep that we had early on with a newborn.
Yep.
And so I hear being, 7-8 months pregnant, it's also very hard to sleep.
Oh, yeah. Gosh. Oh, yeah. But, I think we just take it as it comes, take naps when I can and just have positive thoughts about it because it's kind of the reality of a brand new mom if you're breastfeeding, that you will be kind of up around the clock feeding that baby.
We read some startling facts at one point about how long parents are sleep deprived after having children or have, issues.
Yes.
And we read something like it's about 7 years.
Yes.
So, we're obviously not there yet. Our son's almost 2. We haven't got another one on the way. But from what I know from like family and going over visiting friends' houses, that little ones will do stuff like get up out of bed at 10:30 after they've been in bed for 3 hours. They'll come out and want to see what mom and dad are up to, or they'll get scared in the middle of the night and they'll come to your room and wake you up, snuggle in bed.
Right, or come and join you in bed. Yep.
So there's all these things that affect your sleep because kids are little.
Right.
And there's things you can do about it. That's not what this podcast is about. This podcast is about maybe bringing some more awareness to how important sleep is by sharing our testimony about what we have done to protect sleep at all costs and why we decided that is such an important thing.
Yeah.
There's a previous episode. I'm going to give a little shout out. By the way, every episode, you can go check out the show notes. We'll link to resources and things that we mentioned during the podcast. We'll also link to related podcasts and things that we specifically have spoken about here.
Right.
One of those is our episode on getting ready for baby part 2, like the second edition. Edition, ADDITION. I think that's hilarious. In there, we go into some more deeper detail on this sleep topic and why it's so important. But we just made it the priority.
Yeah.
Because it cascades down into everything else. And with the lack of sleep, so many other things start to slide.
Oh, yeah.
We got a fun story for you here that's pretty wild. But I want to start off by sharing with you what you find in a quick Google search about the health implications of lack of sleep or less than quality sleep.
Okay, let's hear it.
All right, so sleep deprivation is linked to many chronic health problems, including cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, stroke, obesity, depression, and kidney disease.
To say just a few.
Here's another one. Sleep deprivation can also negatively impact brain, metabolic, and immune health. It can also affect daytime functioning, such as poor concentration, reduced reaction times, and altered mood. I think it's safe to say that it basically just affects everything.
Yeah.
Very deeply.
Yeah. Well, and we didn't read this prior to making sleep a priority. This is us saying sleep is a priority and we've seen the effects in our life, making it a priority, good effects. And that is what the internet says sleep can affect if you have poor quality sleep.
Yeah.
So it's significant.
Yeah. And And what is poor quality sleep? So poor quality sleep is firstly not enough.
Right.
Secondly,
Going to bed too late, getting up too early.
is one of the biggest things.
So bad.
Another thing that we've noticed with sleep tracking,
Yeah.
and we'll talk a little bit more about this, is, there's different types of sleep. You've got your deep sleep. It's where your body repairs its tissues. If you work out a lot, it needs that time to recover. The brain needs the time that you spend in REM sleep. Usually happens
That helps with memory.
usually, and mood, right? That's
yeah.
usually, you find that like in the later parts of your sleep. Deep sleep is much earlier.
Right.
Then you have your light sleep, which is kind of in between all of those different phases while you sleep at night.
Yeah.
And like, here's the deal. You have a wake up during a deep sleep, that could cut that amount of time in half for that night.
Right. And you probably don't get that back.
You don't get that back. It's just not going to happen with other parts of your sleep cycle. We've learned a ton of this stuff over the last year.
With tracking with the Aura Ring.
Tracking
Yes.
with the Aura Ring. You get woken up early. We had a time with our baby where he was just waking up really early.
Yes. And it was so hard.
Right? And you wake
Especially
up.
waking up with adrenaline.
With adrenaline. And then you're just like very sluggish. Your brain feels like it's not firing correctly.
Because it's not.
Because it's not. And then so what does that cascade into? Like, we just noticed that, over time, if we weren't getting the sleep, we would be shorter with each other. So that affects your
Absolutely.
relationship. We would be shorter with the baby, right? Less patient, right? So your mood is pervasive in everything that you do.
Yeah.
But then you can't concentrate. So you're trying to work and build your business, but you can't concentrate.
Right.
So you
Such
spend
simple
you
stuff.
spend an hour doing something. Guess how effective you were? You were effective for like 10, 15 of those minutes because you can't even focus right.
Right.
So it's affecting everything. We've got this crazy story that we knew we had to tell you today about this, and then we're going to round out our conversation with just some tools and things that we found really powerful when it comes to the technology that can help you understand sleep a bit more and be able to bring yourself to an awareness around it.
Yeah, because otherwise it's hard to find a solution. Here you are just presenting a problem. You know that sleep is a problem for you, but what is the solution? So we're going to talk a little bit about what that solution is, what we have found to be a solution that's really helped us.
Absolutely. So I think I'll
Yeah,
kick the
go
story
ahead.
off.
Sure.
So during this time that we were just struggling with sleep with the baby, Rachel was also obviously in that fight with sleep, just right there alone with Lincoln.
Yeah.
And we had this person come to town. Her name is Jenny Butts. She's part of BNI, networking organization we're a part of. And she was coming to town. So we've only seen...
And I've always wanted to meet her because she's such a dynamic speaker.
That's right.
And just her energy is contagious, and you just want to be in a room where she is. That's how I felt about her.
Yeah, and so Jenny was coming to town. She chose Albuquerque of all places for this 5-day tour. She was going to be in town, and Rachel's like, I got to be there. I got to meet Jenny. So we arranged all the babysitting and stuff to go do that, even in the midst of just no sleep and some serious struggle. And so we go to the event. There's a ton of people there. It's about a 2-hour event,
Yeah.
I think.
Yep.
And so part of that was like an open networking, and the bulk of it, though, was a presentation by Jenny. So we're in this auditorium. We're sitting together. She does her whole presentation, and we get out into the lobby, and you want a picture with her,
Yes.
of course.
Absolutely.
Right?
She's like the BNI celebrity that I wanted to meet.
That you wanted to meet. Yeah, and so I take their picture together, and then you end up holding the phone, and I think it was you. I got to record a video with
Oh,
Jenny.
yes.
Right, so we had this whole interaction with her at the venue, and then we got to go home. So we're in the parking lot, and I casually asked Rachel, I was like, so, was it everything that you thought it would be, or whatever?
Did you get everything you wanted?
Did you get everything you wanted? And you said...
No, I didn't even get a picture with Jenny.
So 20 minutes before that, she got the picture with her and was standing there. And she literally could not remember that she was standing there next to her taking that picture.
Yeah, that was a wake-up call for me, too.
That is the effect of sleep deprivation. Now, that's obviously an extreme example,
Yeah.
but this happens to young families all the time. And it's not normal.
Right.
It's not okay to get to that point. You need to get some help. We got some resources for you. can always reach out to us. We've done previous episodes on this, I think, as well. We do have some resources for you. Getting Ready for Baby, second edition. I think it's got some stuff in there about Megan, our sleep trainer. And that's an extreme example. You don't have to get to that point.
Absolutely not.
Right.
You do not have to. Please do not let yourself get to that point.
Mm-hmm. So
Because it is coming if you are getting a lack of sleep. That point is coming if you continue to not get sleep.
Yeah. And so what I want to point attention to, though, is all of what you feel like are minor disturbances with your sleep, or even things that you're not aware of that are leaving you a little bit sluggish, that you feel like are just the norm now.
Mm-hmm.
You are not even aware of. When you start paying attention to them, become aware of them, you realize quite what level of impact they have.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So technology has been pretty amazing these last few years in helping us wake up to the fact that our sleep is not as great as it might be.
Pun intended.
Yeah. And a lot of people have an Apple Watch or a smartwatch. I think even like Fitbits
Yeah.
have some level of capacity to help measure sleep.
Right.
The king of this category, though, of sleep tracking and awareness is the Aura.
Yeah.
Oura. We got a link in the show notes for you to check out Aura. They have the most data and the most sophisticated technology for effectively tracking and monitoring sleep.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it. We could do a whole thing on just the Aura ring, but that's why you got to follow me on social media, because I talk about my ring all the time.
Well, I think it's really important when we're talking about the Aura is that the more data you have, the more aware you can become of something. You cannot create awareness without actually having awareness. How do you get awareness into your sleep and your sleep quality? Well, it's something like this. That is how we got it. Maybe you're a magician and you just know when you're getting good sleep and bad sleep. But what I found is the Aura ring can tell me I slept really well. I had really good quality sleep, but I still feel a little groggy. So it's not necessarily how you feel in the morning that tells you they have good sleep or not.
That's right.
It's really not. What we see with the Aura is it's a compound effect over time.
That's the other thing.
So compound effect has a big, big impact. And that's around the awareness. But also, we talked about this technology that can help you in tracking. It's so easy, and I'll use this example really quickly. When we begin a budget journey, it begins with kind of a sort of an audit of how you're currently spending to even begin to categorize something and prioritize the things that you have. Cut the things that aren't important and then keep the things that are like super important and need to be paid. So when we started our budget, and this was years ago, we did a quick audit, and it's easy to say, we'll just use this as an example. It's easy to say, oh, I don't eat out. But then when you do this audit, you find, oh my gosh, I do eat out to the tune of, we'll just put a number on it, $200 a month. And prior to doing that audit, you had zero awareness and you were in denial to have that expense at all.
You were in denial, full on. Yeah, I don't eat
You
out.
had zero clue. But what that tells you is you like to eat out and you're going to keep that as a line item, or that's a place that you could cut. If it's something that's like, oh, wow, I'm just really not aware of that. Maybe there's a different way that I can bring that back. So that's an example. And what we found is with sleep, you can over-exaggerate things just like that. Oh, we're getting good sleep. We're getting good enough sleep. Or it can go on the opposite side and say, oh, he just doesn't sleep at all. And he never sleeps through the night. He never sleeps through to this time or that time. And you can have these like defeatist labels that you put on the different things. Yeah, stories and stuff. So what we found is tracking his sleep. And that came from the sleep trainer.
Yeah.
Tracking his sleep. When does he go down? When does he wake up? You could even track his mood in a note and things like that. But what that gives you is you see patterns. And just like we talked with Aura, that there is a compound effect over time. And with Lincoln, it was a compound effect over time for sure. But also, you can see patterns and then you can adjust things.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest things that's helped us as far as technology with sleeping is actually the awareness that the technology brought to actual sleep.
Right. it's like if you asked me what time I go to bed, I would tell you it's about 9 o'clock.
Right.
But if you look at my history for this week I'm fully aware that I've been going to bed about 45 minutes later than I intend.
Right. And you feel the effects?
And I feel the effects, and then I see it in my sleep scores.
Right.
Right. And so we've talked a lot about this awareness part that's attached to, what you get out of technology and tracking.
Right.
This is the troubleshooting piece. Why am I feeling like a little bit slower on the treadmill this morning? Well, if I look back at the previous 5 days, it's very obvious to me. 2 times I had really late meals or big meals this week.
And alcohol. You don't normally consume alcohol.
Right. It had been like at least 6-7 weeks since I had anything, and I had like 3 really small half glasses of wine, so like a glass and a half of wine.
Yeah.
And that super impacted one of my days, and I feel it actually 2 days later. More acutely aware of the impact based off of.
And you see the different factors.
What I see.
So you are judging things like in the Aura. What's cool about that app too? I know this is again tracking, but it kind of goes into troubleshooting, like where we want to get to, is that you can put some tags on those days that you had a late night or you had a drink, and then you can see in those results, oh, that's what affected it. Okay. And then you see those negative effects and you decide, is it worth it?
So I've got another half marathon race in a little over a week, and
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I know that like tonight and the next night, there's a couple nights in a row here where I know I can get to bed much earlier.
Yeah.
And I need to stick by that.
Right.
In order to bring myself back to feeling very strong and effective.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
So for troubleshooting, for me, when we're thinking about like sleep, my thing that I got most from Aura was go to bed earlier and have more time in bed, because being pregnant and you're uncomfortable, you have a ton of pillows around you or under you or supporting you, if you're anything like me, and you can just find that sleep is difficult. But my sleep score went up significantly with the time in bed. So if I had more time in bed, then even if I did toss and turn a little bit, I was still getting a good amount of sleep and good quality sleep. So if I went to bed late, the impact on me is far, far greater while being pregnant than it is when I'm not pregnant. It's a totally different thing. So that was my big troubleshooting for that. And then if we think about troubleshooting for Lincoln, then we're able to call Megan in, and she's able to consult with us and look at the app and say, well, here are some suggestions. Or, napping. Maybe he's not napping really well, or he's waking up early at night. Maybe it's because he's napping too much, but we don't have to do that troubleshooting, which has been really nice, having someone support us in that.
And finally, the thing that we've just noticed through all of it is that the more consistent you are with it, with every aspect of it, the better off you are. So if you consistently eat at the same time,
yes,
you actually
and
turn
early
the lights out at the same time. You give yourself the extra, if you want to sleep 8 hours, you always give yourself 1 extra hour time in bed. Like all of these things done consistently make for a really strong
compound effect
sleep schedule. Yeah, and we see very well in the app the at least it's like a 2-week rolling period.
Yes.
Of if you've been feeling really depleted, it takes up to 2 weeks of really solid concerted effort if you've been out of whack to bring you back in.
Right. It's not going to happen the next day.
Your body keeps score, right? Like I've watched sleep scores trail down over time, and then what happens? I get sick.
Yes, correct.
Right. So there's like early signs that you're vulnerable when you track your sleep. Anyway, obviously we're passionate about it.
Yeah. Well, because we've seen the effects, truly the effects of lack of sleep. It is not worth it, especially with a young family and with multiple children coming into our family soon. We'll have this new baby, and then we'll have 2 kids. It's really important because these little boys, they're going to be learning how to sleep. Lincoln is still learning how to sleep and soothe himself and things like that. So consistency and having...
You just can't show up your best without sleep. Period.
No.
End of story. And it's a weird, messed up form of self-sabotage when you do things like you just chronically go to bed late.
Yes. Well, and for Lincoln, it's really cute to see, cute in the sense that you notice the signs. Lincoln he eats less during the day if he hasn't slept
We
well.
do too.
So we know. Or our appetite is lower, and then we can know, oh, well, maybe he woke up during the night, or whatever that looks like for him not sleeping well. But the consistency of when you go to bed is super important. We do that for kids, or I hope we're doing that for kids. For those that are listening out there that might be struggling with sleep, that consistency and time when you go to bed and when you wake up is really important. You know, we have a wake time window. The wake time is between okay to wake is 6:30 and excellent is 7. You know, so simple stuff like that. But like we said, the effects of lack of sleep are impressively large when you look at a list. It's huge. It's gigantic. I mean, depression, anxiety, stress, all these things,
weight gain, all these long-term health conditions.
Yeah, and
life is a compound race.
Yes.
You lose sleep over a period of time, you're just gonna be jacked up.
Yes.
You're gonna be jacked up. So if there's one thing that you can do to have a better, happier, more fulfilling, energetic life, it's just to get to sleep.
Yeah.
Just get to sleep.
Yeah.
Right? There's a ton of technology that supports it. Fitbits are like $100, $150, sometimes less.
Yeah.
That'll give you like a really decent baseline level of technology that can help you with your sleep.
Give you something.
Something if you don't want to spring for something like an Aura or a Whoop or even the Apple Watch, things like that have better technology in there. You can at least start tracking and getting a sense of if you're trending in the right direction you want to be.
Right.
Yeah, so check out the show notes at Babies and Biz Pod. You can find us on social media, online or our website, babiesandbiz.com, where you find all the show notes, past episodes, and such. Reach out to us. You got questions. There's a contact form there, hello@babiesandbiz.com. Man, I just threw a lot of babies and biz at you. How you feeling about that, Mr. and Mrs. Listener? Look, we've enjoyed talking about sleep, but we just can't share enough how important it is. And that's why we're talking about it with you. All right. Thanks for listening. Love to hear your feedback on this episode. If you're prioritizing sleep or you got questions about it, reach out to us. We appreciate you being here. We'll catch you in the next episode.
Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Babies in Business podcast. Who do you know that would benefit from hearing this episode? Share it with them and post about it on social media. You can find the show notes for this episode, free downloads, and connect with the rest of the community at babiesandbiz.com. We'll see you next time.